This is the first video I'm recording with the earplugs in. And I figure at the very least it'll be interesting. As even as now I'm talking, it's kind of muffled. It's vibrating, echoing inwardly. And it's funny how some people will express and profess the significance of silence, and that's what inspired this. Simply sitting in the quietness and stillness of the heart, embraced by the presence, which is free of all concepts, but can express them with free flowingness, with effortless grace and eloquence. And there's no person to take credit for this because it's expressing itself as one is simply a personal channel. There's a subjective awareness that, hey, I can be simultaneously aware of the conversation going on downstairs, of the clock ticking, of the sound and the surroundings vibrating. And that's all that is, right? The conversation going on downstairs is simply a vibration. And we can view ourselves in relation to the world in terms of vibration, a heartfelt, energetic connection. And this is not simply a jugglery of words. This is heartfelt expression. And thus, I hope this resonates. I'm going to put the earplugs back in. Because why not? You know, it seems that some of us, and my person was at one point too, averse to changing and adapting. However, it's the smartest people that are able to change, are be able to. Now, as I'm doing other things, as I'm speaking, right, attention is really, we could say, maybe faculty is not the best term, but a function of the entire body. And that's a significance of exercise, for instance. The law of the body, proper nutrition, elimination of all food toxins or poisons, and exercise. And the significance of exercise is bringing awareness within the bodily temple. And to bring that focus, that subjective awareness, where we can be simultaneously aware of the conversation going on downstairs, the clock ticking, the dog barking, the phone ringing, but from an inner space of silence, from a place of peace. And that's what's holding it all together like a glue. Because you're in all those expressions of reality of the silence, of the presence. And you can look at everything around us with reverence. Because it's an extension of your own consciousness. What is appearing in the surrounding world environment was a previous inward experience that is now manifest. And if you notice, another concept that inspired this, how there's people that are always talking about their desires, their ambitions, what they're going to accomplish, what they're going to do. And if you're observant, you'll notice, wait, these are the people that have a hard time manifesting. But it's the people that simply, quietly go about their own business, do their own thing, that manifest effortlessly. That seem to have this different energy. We can say grace. Because there's a inner willingness to do whatever it takes. To be of service. And that's one's self-concept. To be an eternal servant. And thus, they don't worry about spoiling their energy by projecting it outwardly in conversations like this. Because they have an abundance of it inwardly, and it's inexhaustible. Everyone can come to the Lord's table. There's enough energy for everybody to eat off his plate. And thus, preaching is the essence. And purity is the force. Books are the basis. Books help us exercise our conscious awareness, our attention. And it's all about the intention. Say we're reading a book, for instance. It's not so much the content, what we're reading, but it's the intention. We can look at the activity as freeing. We can say it's sadhana, which is an Indian word for discipline. Because there must be some outward action for us to exist within this body and to fulfill our purpose, which attracts the force to us. Now, there's never a moment where the force isn't with us. And thus, there's no room for loneliness. That concept is silliness in a world of, 9 billion plus people? The concept of loneliness is ignorance. Because in essence, in silence, in the quietness of your heart, there's the eternal witness that's aware of all this and has no limits. And from a spiritual standpoint, even these words, however of a high vibration they are, whatever place they come from within, still, it's not so much the words that are the truth, but what's between the words. The words are simply the gift of the energy that arises from the infinite potential and possibility of the silence, of the presence, which again is always with us. And by living a life of purpose and understanding that we have a purpose, and by directing isn't the best word, simply surrendering inward, understanding that the Lord is none other than the energy within us. We can surrender to this and think of ourselves not in terms of a ongoing process, but as this moment, as this energy is given to us freely. We operate with absolute non-resistance in expressing that energy outwardly. And any activity can be an expression that is actually an inward action, an inward activity. Someone may seem to be engaged in vigorous activity, however, they see, from a subjective standpoint, that the action is actually a function of the divine energy, and their focus, their subjective awareness is constantly on this energy within them. And their intention is that of balance, to understand that, hey, this masculine and feminine energy within us, within each and every human entity, in order for us to function and be in harmony, we want this energy to be operating in balance. The masculine and feminine to operate at full force and in proper balance within us, so that we can live a life that is harmonious. What a blessing it is to understand this. We can tie into this the law of correspondence. I could convey to you some of those concepts. However, if you're not familiar with it, simply look it up. See what comes up. The internet is also an extension of us. So the Lord is constantly talking to us. You'll see these signs and synchronicities in your YouTube feed today. Wherever you look, wherever you are, there's always signs. We could even say every single moment there's a sign. Mastermind. I didn't buy that. That was already there. I left it there. I'm like, that's... I don't even know who that guy is. Mysterious Mahendra, master of the human mind. It's probably better I don't look him up, right? Mysterious Mahendra. He'll remain a mystery. And when we see the world in terms of a mystery, when we understand that oneself is a very mystery, we see the world with wonder. Wow. With awe. We don't take things so seriously. We can live joyfully. And understand at the same time that, hey, there's a time that amidst this joy, we need to take things very seriously. There needs to be discipline. And that means taking action on what you don't feel like doing. That's just being blunt, right? Sometimes you might not want to wake up. You want to stay in bed a little bit longer. And sometimes hey, that's good. If you're fasting, whatever the intention is, then hey, resting is great. However, there comes a time where you got to force yourself to do things. And we're all at different points along the journey. There comes a point where everything's effortless. Even seeming what may seem to other people as, a difficult activity. One reaches a point where they put a certain amount of time and energy into something, and that activity for them is effortless. So even hard work, there's a certain free-flowingness as the energy within us is simply allowed to express itself because we operate in a state of non-resistance. We're not resisting anything occurring within or around us. Actually, there is no separateness. We don't see any difference between what is within and what is without. And thus, there's a constant contentedness. And whatever the circumstance, that doesn't affect our inner subjective awareness, which is always with us. We come to this world as pure awareness, without any patterns or programs or a thought process. A baby doesn't interpret the environment through a judgmental filter, through concepts saying that that's separate from this, or this is better than that, or giving things honor and praise and looking down upon other things and saying that this makes me feel painful and this makes me feel happy. The baby simply exists as it is with this awareness of the presence of the present moment. And thus, to enter the kingdom of heaven, become again like a child. Simply learn to find bliss in the silence. And then you'll be given wonderful concepts that you can in turn give because they were given to you freely. So they express through you naturally. Not forcibly. There's no one to force it. Looping back, there comes sometimes, hey, I'm going to force myself to do this because I don't necessarily feel like doing it. But I'm going to do it anyways. And thus you overcome yourself. You overcome that part of you that wants to resist. And I'm getting text messages. I forgot to turn it on airplane mode. Most of the time the phone's on airplane mode, honestly. Take the earplugs out. Try this for yourself. Try to talk with earplugs in. Or sit. When you sit in silence, if there's no vibrations or distractions around you, they don't have to be distractions. In fact, they aren't. Because you can simply quietly absorb them in awareness. Let them flow through you, effortless, with non-resistance. But when you simply sit in silence, you'll notice that there's a buzzing, an infinite buzzing, an aliveness in the right hemisphere of the brain, in the right ear. We could say it's a fire, an energy, because of that upward flow of divinity within us. It's always with us. And we want to operate with openness and receptiveness so that we can receive this energy and feel it within us and know it within us. Understand that we're not our feelings and emotions, but still be able to feel very deeply. And you'll notice it even more if you put the earplugs in. There's that buzzing sensation on the right side of the brain. You want to understand that, hey, physically, there's a left brain and a right brain. And this relates to our masculine and feminine energies. A lot of people are operating primarily in the left brain, in the analytical thinking, intellectual, dissecting, organizing, planning, masculine part of the brain. And, that's part of wholeness. We want that to be operating within us. But to be in proper balance, we also want the right side, the right hemisphere of the brain to be alive and active, which we could call the feminine brain. which is simply content in sitting in silence. And we could say is our connection to the infinite spirit within us. The etheric brain, we could say. Awareness of the space, spatial awareness. Understanding that, hey, I'm not an entity that is bound to material existence. Simply for the satisfaction of the tongue and genitals. A lot of people are walking around in illusion. In a lower vibration. It seems that way anyways. I say that, and I can relate to it because I used to be that way. So I recognize in others. When you know something for yourself, you automatically recognize it in the world around you. The real recognize the real, right? Like attracts like. But when our attention is freed from, thinking in terms of satisfying oneself, because we're already satisfied. We live with perpetual satisfaction, whatever the condition, because there are no conditions. We live unconditionally when we don't place conditions upon things outwardly. We live with serenity and tranquility and perpetually peacefully. And thus, there's nothing that anybody can say to us or do to us that can affect this inner peace. And, that's a wonderful concept. But we want to feel this viscerally. We can understand it intellectually, but to know it is to be it. It seems that a lot of people don't understand this, which is very obvious to a lot of us, that, hey, actually, to really know something is to be it. Not to simply read about it, or to accumulate information from the outside and think about it, which is, that's part of it. To be able to ponder and reflect and contemplate, to live a contemplative lifestyle, that's great. However, that's only part of the factor. You'd say that's the left brain, right? But to actually be it is to put it into practice with awareness. We don't want to operate with dullness. If you simply do things with repetitiveness, without the proper awareness, that results in dullness. So, you're doing the same thing every day. You could say you're in a routine. You want to be conscious. We're not acting with compulsiveness, but with consciousness. We bring this awareness to every single activity. And again, relating to what was said earlier in the video about awareness of the body. The significance of exercise is to bring that awareness within the body, because, hey, we can understand that, hey, I'm not a body. I have a body. I use the body in order for the Lord to do His will through me. However, I'm not the body. But in order to stay within the body, we consciously bring that awareness within the body, whatever the activity. It can be weightlifting or stretching, yoga practice, breathing, which actually, you do a certain breathing practice enough, you really realize, hey, I'm not this body. You'll develop a distance between what is oneself and the body. You'll identify, firstly, with energy. Hey, I'm the energy that animates this body, but you'll even transcend that. Realize, hey, what is this energy that I'm aware of? Who is aware of this energy? And you'll start to think in terms of identity. And when you journey inwardly and you find yourself, your true identity, you'll have the confidence to share that and express it outwardly. And to focus concepts on this in terms of bringing awareness to other people's perceived identity. You'll be able to talk about these things freely because it comes from a heartfelt place. You could say it comes from love. Although that word, it's like beauty in the eye of the beholder. What does love mean to you? A lot of people misconstrue what true love is. It's not an attachment. It doesn't have any conditions. It doesn't have any expectations. To be open to changes. Open to new situations. The only problem is if nothing new happens to you. We want to surrender ourselves and say, hey, whatever your will is, I'm here for this. That's my only purpose. I have no personal ambitions, plans, desires. My only desire is to fulfill your will and to be of service, so that by your mercy I can receive your grace. I don't even desire liberation or enlightenment. I simply want to be of service. That's my only purpose. I don't care whether or not I reincarnate, whether or not after this human experience I take another physical body. I'm not worried about heaven or hell. I just want to be of service to you, Lord. See, this is the thought process that can help us bring awareness to the fact that this abundant divine energy is within us. And that'll eliminate our outward seekingness. We'll realize that it's always within us. Again, that the force can never leave us. Sometimes simply whispering is wonderful. It's closer to silence. Sometimes you just can't help yourself but to smile. Sometimes that's the best thing you can do. It's an outward action. You don't need to say anything. Simply smile. What if I got on here and just stared at the phone? Didn't say anything? Maybe smiled a couple times? A lot of people would click off within a few seconds, right? People want to hear something. They want to hear some concepts. They want it to be practical and relatable. And of course, there's the relative world. You could say the material world and the absolute world, the spiritual world. But we don't want to think of these things in terms of duality because really they're one simultaneously. As we embody the divine energy in the material body, or simultaneously living spiritually and materially. And thus, there's no separation. We only speak of these concepts to compartmentalize and to categorize certain things that can help, and what are things but thoughts? Certain thoughts that can help elevate our consciousness, our awareness. By being aware of certain concepts, we can elevate our vibrational state and thus operate from a higher awareness. But it seems that a lot of us not pointing fingers, but I'm just saying, I'm observing, and it seems that a lot of us, some of us, I won't say a lot, some of us have an unwillingness to let go of perceptual negativity, the seeming world of negativity, to let that go, to operate at a higher state of awareness. So we want to develop, or really, there's nothing to develop, it's already there. The willingness to surrender even one's very life to the Lord is already within us, already within our hearts. I just looked at the time. It was 3:57. I was 30:57. And I'm always relating numbers, if I see them, in terms of the inner world, right? The energy centers within, along the spine, the altar of the divine. 357, hey, that's the masculine. The third energy center up is the solar plexus within us, the maintenance center within the body. And then 5, the fifth energy center up, is the throat chakra. An awareness, again, looping back, spatial awareness, an awareness of space, the ether, the elements, the Akashic intelligence. Having that openness in the throat chakra will allow us to speak freely and openly and truthfully. And then 7, the crown chakra, which is actually outside the physical body. We could say it's God awareness. Wow, transcendence. When our energy peaks here due to living harmoniously in respecting our divine energy. When our energy peaks here, simply, practice this. I'm not even going to finish that thought. With awareness, with consciousness, simply put your hands, either laying down or standing up or sitting down, wherever. Just put your hands above your head for several moments. We could say, for practical purposes, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just put both your hands, or maybe you can alternate them. Put one hand for 5 minutes, another one for 5. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you it has to be this way. If there's somebody telling you this is the only way, and they don't really know what they say, because ultimately there's many ways to divinity. But we want to commit and decide definitely to something and stay on that path with unwavering determination. And don't, let's say you're going around the earth and, you start here and you walk straight. You'll eventually reach this same point if you just keep walking straight. But the problem is a lot of people, and I observe this within myself, so I can relate to it, and I can sympathize with it, empathize with it. But, and I won't say a lot of people, some people will walk 10,000 meters, and then they'll stop. And then they'll go right, and walk another 10,000 meters, then they'll stop. Then they'll go another direction, and another 10,000 meters. And this way, they're creating a box. Or you can eat a circle. But a box is a better example. They create a box instead of just walking straight. Straight and narrow is the way. It's the path, right? So whatever you choose, whatever your way, whatever your discipline, whatever your practice, whatever you do, whatever your purpose, you want to be steadfast with confidence and with intelligence. We don't want to lose our intelligence, have our intelligence be hijacked by, again, looping back to what was said earlier in the video, by serving the genitals or serving the tongue. A lot of people lower their vibrations, and I won't say a lot, some, by serving those two aspects, which have to do with our physical nature. But we want to, whatever we do, we want to walk straight and narrow. And when we do that full lap around the earth, and we get back to this point, we realize that, hey, we've always been there. What is there right now is all there is. It can't be any other way. And thus we won't identify ourselves, third time's a charm, with a subjective linear time track. You won't say, hey, I'm the past. I'm what happened to me back then. Or I'm what's going to happen to me in the future. We'll say that, hey, I simply am. Right now. Existence itself. But hey, going back to what I was saying, don't want to leave you hanging. That, yeah, simply for a few minutes, because the hands are very powerful. Put your hands above your head for 5 minutes. Say 5 minutes. And maybe this practice will lead to 6 minutes and 7 minutes. And then hey, eventually you'll lose track of time. What is time? I'm a time theorist. Every single movement I'm conscious, we can refine our activity. Everything that we do outwardly, every outward action, every motion of the body, we can refine. And in time, that perfect practice will lead to perfection. Because practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes it perfect. And on the path to that perfection, you realize, hey, my seeming imperfections are perfection, because the half-unfolded flower is not perfect, or is not imperfect, sorry, that, and that's another thing, oftentimes people apologize and say, I'm sorry, what are you apologizing for? No reason to say you're sorry. You can't make a mistake. Even if I use a word that I didn't mean to, or I stutter, or whatever. That comes with self-acceptance, right? With joyousness. With non-resistance. To simply accept yourself wherever you're at right now. And that comes with the heartfelt witness. The awareness, identifying with this. So that we can stay grounded on this planet. And share what the Lord's given to us. With the world around us. And thus I express this. Because it's only by grace that we are freely given this energetic abundance. And balance of this energy within us. It's always a constant, conscious practice to bring awareness to whatever activity, and it's not necessarily what we do outwardly that's of significance, but our beingness, how we are within ourselves while we're doing it. It's not even so much the concepts relayed in this video, but the place that they're expressed from within. A lot of you already know this. I'm preaching to the choir, but hopefully some of you have stayed here till the end of the video and have heard something that really resonates with you, that resonates with your heart. It says, hey, I can really relate to that. And maybe you chew on it and you carry it with you throughout the week, and perhaps even months or years. There are certain concepts that I've been churning, that have been keeping me going, that I heard years ago, that really resonated. Wow, I felt the place that came from within that person. And it's true. It resonates with my being. And thus, I share these concepts because I have a certain confidence that, hey, at least one thing that is said will resonate with someone that's hearing this and will help elevate their awareness or lead them to their purpose. But it's not a person, Alex, that can claim that, hey, I did that for them. Because really, Alex is simply a channel. And sometimes you just can't help but to smile. You need no reason. You don't need a reason to be happy. You already are happy. You only need a reason to be unhappy. And there's infinite reasons to be unhappy, right? Oh, somebody did this, and somebody said that, or, I don't have this, or whatever it is. Those are all conditions. But when you live unconditionally, there's no reason to be unhappy. Wherever you are, from within a body. Whatever their circumstances outwardly, there's no reason to be unhappy. But even that isn't the ultimate goal of life. We all share the same aim, the same goal. Whatever expression it takes outwardly in terms of a seeming individual body, that purpose is ultimately the same. Within the uniqueness of the world around us, there's a simultaneous sameness. And so wondrous. That is exactly what I meant when I said previously that we ourselves are a mystery. Existing in this three-dimensional reality with an awareness that, hey, actually, I'm multidimensional. There's different planes of existence that this awareness within this body can be aware of inwardly. And it all starts with our focus, our attention, and vibration. That, hey, I'm not a human, but a hue-man. Hue, meaning certain colors, right? What is the hue of that? What is, of course, the red is related to the root chakra. And I won't go through all the 7 energy centers, but purple is related to the crown chakra. So this whole spectrum is different hues, different colors. Sexual energy, sacral chakra, orange, the water element. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them, but these different colors, these different hues are different frequencies. And when we harmonically attune, when we know that we're the awareness that is aware of whatever our state currently is, that, hey, this activity, I'm really in the body. So that has to do with groundedness and the root chakra. And you bring this awareness to every activity, to view yourself as an energetic entity, then we are aware of whatever frequency you're vibrating at. And that's the intention of putting your hands above your head, right? To bring awareness, to bring energy to this crown chakra, which is outside of the physical body. Heaven. So that we can bring this energy from heaven on earth. Not that there is a person to do it, but we allow it. It manifests through us as we're simply the channel. Bring this to the world via personal willingness. There's a difference, a nuanced distinction between willingness and willfulness. Willfulness is like forcing oneself to do something, whereas willingness comes from a place of acceptance, and that allows you perseverance to be determined in whatever your practice. It's that willingness. Meditation, again, oftentimes people may confuse it as passiveness. But in practice, in essence, actually, in that silent space of pure awareness, of unfettered, unblemished consciousness, there's infinite potential. And of course, we're all given free will. And with this free will, there's the willingness to surrender to the process, the seeming process, to your perpetual, eternal practice. And that will eventually, if you're not there already, lead to an awareness that, hey, I'm not this body. That, hey, I'm actually the energy that is expressing through the body, that is allowing the body to function and to engage in whatever action. And wow, I don't have to think about digesting food. The digestive enzymes, the processes, the manifold processes within the body are occurring without my conscious awareness. They're involuntary. But actually, as we elevate in vibration, in frequency, and thus awareness and consciousness, because our level of energy is directly connected to our level of awareness, we'll realize, hey, that's all I want to say. Have a wonderful day. Make sure you go and play. It's got to be balanced with work, though. Your work-life balance, right? God bless. See you in the next video. Sometimes you have so much energy within the body. If you commit to semen retention or fasting, that you're shaking. There's some times where I've had so much energy where I just had to go out and walk, and not making it about me, but just as I was doing this, I don't know if you noticed, but the finger was shaking a little bit. And oftentimes there's so much energy within you that it's almost like, how can I contain it? You can't keep it all, right? It's got to express itself. It's got to share itself, give itself. And one may decide to do it. They may think that they decided to do it, when really the energy decided to do it through you. There's no duality between a decider and a decision, or an intender and intention. Subjectively, there need be no duality. It's getting up there in time. So, wow. Didn't even plan to make this video today, right? Certainly didn't plan to make it this long. But wow, if you stayed to the end, God bless you. I love you. I love you even if you never see this. If you clicked off in the first couple minutes, there's no conditions. But you already know this, especially if you stayed to the end of this. You feel this. And feeling is really the secret. The connection to true knowingness. Through feeling, through heartfelt feeling, that leads to true knowing. A knowingness of the fact that actually we are pure awareness. Infinity. And infinity has no problems. Amen.